Hi everyone, welcome back to a new session. So today we'll be dealing about NEET exam. Okay, so throughout the section we'll get an overall idea about generally what the NEET exam is, its pattern, its preparation, and specifically we'll be focusing on NEET biology. Fine. So NEET we'll be focusing on NEET biology, that is the biological aspect of the NEET exam. So mastering NEET biology. Yes, first let's get a general idea about the exam as such. That is NEET exam as such. So we all know national eligibility come entrance test. So it's an entrance exam for undergraduate medical programs in India. That is, if you wish to join the MBBS programs into various medical colleges overall India, you have to qualify this test. And based on the ranks, you may get into maybe the topmost colleges, topmost institutes of India, and the lower ranks, again, the other institutes which comes under it. So based on your score, a rank list will be prepared by the NTA, and based on that, what happens? You will be getting into the topmost institute based on your rank. So good ranks means good institutes, right? So this exam is conducted by National Testing Agency, pen and paper format. You will be given OMR sheet. It's not in the CBT mode. You'll be going to the center. You'll be given the response sheet, or the normally we call them as OMR. You'll be having a question paper, sealed question paper. Pen and paper and pen format is what we are following. When you look onto the questions, we have almost 18 MCQ questions coming in, and the questions are from physics, chemistry, and biology. Biology, again, we are dividing it into botany and zoology. Okay, so botany, study of plants, zoology, study of animals. So we have that categorization among our topics, and we'll be having questions from both, that is from both botany and zoology, right? The level that we are following in the exam is class 11 and 12 NCERT textbook. Okay, and the duration is for 3 hours. Conducted once in a year, usually in the month of May. Okay, next we go on to the mark distribution. Okay, so mark distribution, for every correct answers, a 4 marks is awarded to you. So we told that there is total, we have 180 questions. So 4 into 180, we have total 720 marks. So our marks comes out of 720. And for every incorrect answer, 1 mark will be deducted, -1. So that's the careful thing about, we should be careful about NEET exam in that aspect. That is, we have a negative marking. We should only respond if we are so that clear about the exam, I mean the question, right? And if you don't attempt, no problem, no marks, that's all. Okay, but you should never take a risk, or guessworks cannot be done for the exam. Okay, now we look on to the question distribution. Physics, we have 45 questions, right? And for chemistry, we have again 45 questions. Then for biology, we have 90 questions. Okay, wait a minute, I'll just change my, yeah, okay. Right. So, and for biology, we have 90 questions. So, majority of questions comes from biology part, right? Yes. So, let's discuss what is really happening in this biology part of the NEET exam. So, when you look onto the question distribution, we already told that we have 90 questions coming from uh, biology. Okay. So, 90 questions means it's both from zoology as well as botany. Okay, and we don't have a separate categorization in the question paper as a botany part and a zoology part. Like, I mean, like when you start the biology session, you cannot see a heading like, okay, botany is there and all the botany questions coming under that, and the zoology questions there and all the zoology questions coming under that. There is no separate categorization as such. Okay, it's just a biology session, and you will be having a mixture of questions from both botany and zoology. Okay, and yeah, you cannot say that the exam there will be only questions from zoology. Okay, botany is plant science, right? We are going into MBBS program, so zoology or animal science is what we need to concentrate. Okay, it's not like that. You cannot say that more questions will come from zoology or less questions will come from botany. It's actually a random questions. They are never following any pattern till this time. So you'll have random questions from botany and zoology, and you will not have any separate categorization also. When you look onto the mark distribution, I told, right, that is um, almost 90 questions we have. It's coming from biology. So 90 into 4, 360 marks. So out of 720, half the marks was what you scored from biology, right? So this is it. You will be answering biology out of 360. Okay. Next, we look on to the syllabus, right? So we told that for biology, we have from zoology as well as from botany. So when you look onto zoology, here I have listed a list of topics under zoology as well as botany, and this is actually the topics are from both class 11 and 12. Okay, from both class 11 and 12. So zoology, when you look, we have animal kingdom coming under zoology, the first topic. This is dealt in class 11. Okay, we deal this in class 11. Okay, then we have the structural organization and animals, which is again from the class 11 topic. Human physiology, again a class 11 topic. Okay, then we have human reproduction, that is a class 12 topic. Okay, then biology in human welfare, class 12 topic. Okay, so this is the basically the zoology topics which is coming for NEET exam when biology syllabus is considered. So animal kingdom, you will be studying about the classification, the basics from animal kingdom, kingdom Animalia, its phylum, classes, everything with examples. Okay, structural organization is also a very huge chapter which where we'll be dealing with morphology and anatomy of animals. Human physiology will be dealing with almost all the systems. Okay, starting from excretory system, sorry, from respiratory system, then digestive system, excretion, endocrine system, hormones, everything. Then human reproduction, male and female reproductive organs, reproductive health, everything comes under that. Biology in human welfare, you will be studying about uh, microbiology basically. Okay, now let's come into botany, the syllabus of botany. So there also we have four topics coming under botany. So plant kingdom, again like animal kingdom, you'll be dealing in depth. We'll be dealing with kingdom, planting. Okay, class 11 topic it is. Okay, then comes structural organization in plants. Okay, you'll be studying about the morphology and the anatomy of plants, class 11 topic. Okay, then plant physiology. Again, it's a class 11 topic, and you'll be studying the photosynthesis, respiration in plants, etc. Okay, then comes the fourth topic. Okay, for the fourth topic, it's sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So that is class 12 topic, it is, right? Where we'll be dealing with male and female reproductive organs of plant, pollination, fruits, etc. Okay. So we also have got a list of topics which don't come under zoology nor botany. So when you look onto the class level NCERT textbook, the living world, biological classification, cell the unit of life, biomolecules, cell cycle and cell division. All these topics are not zoology nor botany, it's a general topic. You can say that it comes under both. Fine. Then we have the class 12 topic. Okay, genetics and evolution. Genetics and evolution is actually a huge one. Okay, this is actually the unit name which I have listed. You have chapters coming under that. Okay, if you go on to your class 12 NCERT text, you can see under genetics and evolution you have a lot of almost three chapters coming under that. So they are principles of inheritance, molecular basis of inheritance, and evolution, right? Then ecology. Okay, so ecology also you have three chapters coming under ecology. You cannot categorize them into either botany or zoology. It's a general topic. Okay, and yeah, we have chapters like organisms and populations, ecosystem, biodiversity and conservation. Hmm? Then the last one is the biotechnology. Okay, biotechnology is again a newer topic, right? Principles and processes involved in biotechnology and the applications of biotechnology. We have two chapters coming under this. Quite important, right? So we'll move on to the next slide. Yeah. Next is know where to focus, topic wise question weightage, right? Now we know, like almost we have learned what is the syllabus. We have a vast syllabus. We have topics coming under botany, zoology, general topics from class 11 and 12. So we need to understand which chapters we need to give priority. So the thing is, we cannot say that okay, for the next exam, for the next NEET exam, we can only expect questions or more questions can be expected from these areas. No, it changes. The pattern changes every year. The number of questions asked from different chapters and the kind of questions they ask also, it's different. We cannot fix like, okay, from this area, this much will be asked. No. But we have taken an analysis of the previous year question paper. When we took an analysis of all the PYQs or the previous year's question paper, we could find that some majority of questions are asked from some part, and some chapters only less number of questions are asked, and this is strictly based on the analysis of previous year question papers. Okay, with this we cannot say that okay, from next exam, means for the next the exam is going to be conducted on May, we'll be only having questions from this area, so on, or this much. We cannot conclude like that, but then we may have an idea, right? So based on the analysis that we have done, okay, the high priority, okay, the high priority ones or the high priority chapters, or we can say the hot topics that we need to focus is genetics and human physiology, because we have almost 10 to 12 questions coming from that area alone, right? So when you focus, when you study, you can actually focus more on these chapters. This will help you a lot. Okay, because it seems that we have some comparing to other chapters with an analysis of previous year's question papers, some questions are asked from this area more, right? So we have 10 to 12 questions coming from genetics. So genetics is again, it's a broad term. Under genetics, we have three chapters coming in, and the three chapters are three different dealing with contents, which is three different contents they are dealing. So one is principles of inheritance, second one is molecular basis of inheritance. Then we have the evolution chapter also. Human physiology, again, we already uh, discussed what comes under human physiology. Basically, it is the all the systems and the reproductive biology that we'll be dealing in class 12. So this is the high priority ones which you need to understand and learn accordingly. Okay, you have to focus more on these chapters. Then we have 8 to 12 questions coming from cell biology and biotechnology chapters. Okay, 7 to 8 questions from ecology and microbiology. So microbiology means we have two chapters. The welfare chapter, that is the harm. We'll be dealing with the harmful microorganisms as well as the microorganisms for our well-being. So we have two chapters coming in like that. Then we have 5 to 6 questions from plant physiology. Okay, then we have 4 5 questions, that is we can say that only less questions are asked from this area. There are four chapters: animal kingdom, plant kingdom, morphology, which is nothing but the structural organization, then the evolution. So with the analysis of with the previous trends, we can see that only less number of questions are asked, but we are not sure that okay, only this much will come, or we cannot come into a conclusion that we don't need to focus those chapters. We don't know, but then with the analysis of previous year question paper, this is what we come into a conclusion. Okay, next is the question format. Okay, what all kind of questions are asked in the biology part of the NEET exam? The first one is the fact-based questions. So fact-based questions is nothing but some things which you need to by heart. Maybe the terms, the definitions, one-word terms or answers. Okay. So all these are fact-based questions. So I can give you an example of fact-based questions. This is an example of fact-based question. You have a direct question. You can otherwise say it's a direct question. Okay. Then so we have a question here, the first menstruation is called. So the direct answer we have got here, it is menarche, right? Then comes the assertion and reasoning questions. Okay, so assertion and reasoning questions, basically we'll be having two statements, right? an assertion statement will be there, and the reasoning statement will be there. Okay, and you will have to identify whether the assertion is correct or whether it is false, or whether the reason statement is correct or false, then whether reason is the correct explanation for the assertion. All these you need to identify, right? So I'll give you an example. So this is an example of the assertion and reason question. So what you need to focus is, you have an assertion statement, you'll be having a reason statement. Then in light of the above statements, you are asked to choose an option. So in the option, you can see that both assertion and reason is correct, and reason is not the correct explanation of assertion. Then you have an option where assertion is true but R is false. And you have another option, the third option says A is false but R is true. And the fourth option, A and R are true but R is the correct explanation of A. So this is very important. Okay, so if you want to answer these questions, the concept that they are talking in the question, that is the assertion and the reason, should be very clear. Clarity of concept is very important while answering assertion and reasoning questions. Okay. Next is statement based questions. So statement based questions means you will be given a set of statements. Okay. One, two, three. Okay, one statement they won't give you, but then they can give you more than two statements. It can be max of four statements they can give, or five statements they can give. Then you are asked to choose the correct, or they can ask you to choose the incorrect answers or the incorrect statements. This is an example where you are asked. Okay, you can find almost five statements, and you are asked to choose the correct answer from the options given below. That is, you are asked to pick out the correct statements from this, right? So this also is actually, it can be either a factual thing, a factual statement that they're giving, or there may be some concept behind that, maybe a statement or something which is part of a process, right? What you should be careful is what they are asking for. So some statement based questions, they may ask for correct answers. Okay, so in here you can see they're asking for correct answer, but in some cases they may ask for incorrect answers. Okay, so you should never mistake it. So there are cases where students mistake that, okay, they might have seen incorrect but then they choose correct answers. So you have to be very careful while reading the question. You have to be careful whether they have asked correct or incorrect question, right? Next is statement based questions. Okay, so statement based questions, okay, that we already discussed. Next is match the following. Okay, so match the following. This is the one. Okay, where you will be having a list one and list two. Then you have to match it. It's quite easy. Okay. Then we have diagram based questions. So diagram based questions, in the sense you have lot of diagrams in your two textbooks, class 11 and class 12 NCERT text. You have lot of diagrams, and all the diagrams are important. Okay, all diagrams are important. They may not replicate the exact diagrams on the question paper. They may sometimes show a part of the figure or part of the diagram in the question paper, and they may ask you to answer it. Okay, sometimes they may ask about one of the, that is, normally there will be labelings on the figure. There will be so many terms over there. So they may ask the definition of one single term. They may pick out a term from the figure and they may ask. And we have had questions like that for our NEET exams. Okay, so that kind of questions also you can actually expect when I tell we have diagram based questions. So it will be not direct diagram. Okay, you have to completely understand the diagram. They can give you any part of the diagram. Okay, they can take any one of the labelings and ask you what it is. Okay, so that's it, right? Then yeah, so we'll go on to the next slide. Next is the tip and tricks, okay, that you need to follow or that you need to keep in mind while you know um, answering or while you are attempting your question paper. Okay. Uh, First point is scan the question paper quickly. That is, as soon as you get your question paper, okay, you need to understand. You need to just read the question. You have to scan the question paper. You need to understand what you are going to do in the coming 3 hours, right? So you need to understand. You need to have a rapid overview to understand the spread and the difficulty level of the questions. Okay, so you have to read, so you will understand, okay, which all questions I can answer, which all questions it's difficult for me. Okay, so that understanding we need to have. For that, we need to read the question paper when you get it. Okay, you, read in the sense you should not take so much time. You have to just go through your question paper quickly. That is what I mean by a rapid scan. Okay, then identify and mark easy questions first. That is, you can just using a pen, okay, on the question paper you can slightly just strike your near the question number the questions which you are confident, okay, and which you think I will attempt first and I'll keep it safe. Okay, that is another way to manage your time also. So once you understand, once you scan through the question paper and see like which all questions I can answer, which all questions is really difficult for me, it's better I don't touch because we have a negative marking over there. So just highlight the ones which you are confident and which you think you will be able to answer. So the thing is, once you start the exam, you can directly go to that question and finish it off fast. Right. Next is the time management. That is another challenge in all the competitive exams. Right. You have to allocate, like you have around, I don't know, we have around 90 questions for biology, right, from biology. So we have total of 180 minutes and we have half the questions from biology. uh, Around half of the time it's better you can allocate to the biology. That is, you can have 1.5 hours for biology. Okay, that time is also actually less because we have again statements to read. Okay, we have more than maybe statement questions and all we need to read, right? So it may take some time. So I told about the initial scanning that we have to do, right? So when you do that initial scanning and when you mark the questions that you can confidently answer, this will help you to optimize the time. Okay, help you to save a lot of time, right? Next is practicing mock test. Mock test. Okay, mock test is very important. Okay, you have to like do how many of a mock test you can do, please do it and go before you go for the exam. Okay, so when you do, what is the advantage of doing this mock test? It can actually improve the speed, accuracy, exam temperament, everything. Okay, how you are going to sit, that is, when you do mock test, like it's better to isolate yourself into a room. Set your atmosphere to an atmosphere that you get in your exam hall. That same atmosphere you need to get. Okay, and then you do the test. Okay, so the advantage is you are going to replicate that same atmosphere in your exam hall also. That will help you a lot. Okay, you have to be like relaxed, your tension, everything, right? So mock test is that. So one advantage is it improve the speed. Okay, speed, then the accuracy, then the exam temperament. Okay, yes. So with that, we have actually covered so much portion regarding NEET. So next is we have some three questions that we'll be discussing, like how to answer it. It's actually the PYQs from NEET exam. So I have some questions. So the question is, okay, if you have any doubts, you can ask in the chat. Okay. So one person is asking me to give a full syllabus of the test paper, right? So we have already discussed that. So I think you're asking me to show the syllabus, right? Yeah. So this is the syllabus. Okay. From zoology, we have animal kingdom, structural organization in animals. human physiology, human reproduction, biology and human welfare. Okay, so this is actually a mixture of topics from both class 11 and class 12. Then from botany, we have plant kingdom, structural organization in plants, plant physiology, sexual reproduction, flowering plants. Again, I have already marked. It's a mixture from class 11 and class 12 NCERT. Um, then we have the general topics which I told, which comes from both zoology and botany. We cannot say that it belongs to zoology or botany. It don't belong to anyone. It's a general topic, general biology topic. The living world, biological classification. Both these two chapters is from class 11. Then cell, the unit of life, biomolecules. This is also from class 11. Cell cycle, cell division is also from class 11. Then we have class 12, genetics and evolution. This is a huge area, as I said. We have 3 chapters coming in. We have majority of questions being asked according to the analysis that we have done with all the PYQs that we have. Then the ecology chapter, then the biotechnology chapter. Okay. So this is actually the focusing chapters which I wrote. I hope your doubt is cleared. And I have one question before that asked by the same person, but I didn't get you what you meant to ask. So if you could reframe it and ask, maybe I can help you. Yes, if that's it, I'll go into the next slide. Okay, question discussion, right? We'll just discuss 3 questions, okay, different patterns, and we'll see how we are going to solve this. Okay, so let me read the question first. Given below are 2 statements, one labeled as assertion and the other is labeled as reason. Assertion A, reason R. Okay, the assertion is plasmids and bacteriophages have the ability to replicate within the bacterial cell independent of the control of chromosomal DNA. And the reason is if we are able to link an alien piece of DNA with bacteriophage or plasmid DNA, we can multiply its numbers equal to the copy number of the plasmid or bacteriophage. Okay, so this is the reason statement and we have the assertion statement. What we are asked, in the light of the above statement, choose the most appropriate answer from the options given below. Okay, so uh, first, what we need to understand is we need to have an idea what they're saying. That is what the assertion statement is, what the reason statement is. So, assertion is plasmids and bacteriophages have the ability to replicate within bacterial cells independent of the control of chromosomal DNA. It simply means that uh, so I hope you know what a plasmid is and what a bacteriophage is. So this we'll be studying about plasmid and bacteriophage in the biotechnology chapter. This question is from Principles and Processes of Biotechnology. So plasmid is simply an extra chromosomal genetic material found in bacteria. It have a lot of property. They act as a vector. Okay, they act as a vector to carry the alien piece of DNA or the foreign DNA or the desired DNA in biotechnology. So, one of the character of plasmid is it has ORI. ORI means what? Origin of replication. It has origin of replication, right? ORI site. So ORI, if it has an origin of replication, means it undergoes replication independently. That is what ORI means. Okay, it undergoes replication independently, and that is one of the character of plasmid and why we are choosing it as a vector or a vehicle to carry our alien piece of DNA. So the assertion is totally true. It's true. Okay. And the reason they are saying is if you are able to link an alien piece of DNA with bacteriophage or plasmid DNA, we can multiply its numbers equal to the copy number of the plasmid or bacteriophage. That is also correct. Yes, that's also a true statement. Okay, if the bacteriophage or the plasmid DNA is having such a property, if you're linking an alien piece of DNA to the plasmid, that will also what undergoes replication and they can make multiple copies. Like how many copies of plasmid or bacteriophage is there? Similar copy of alien piece of DNA is also formed there, right? So both the statements are true. If that's the case, what we can do, we can actually ignore the B option and the C option because both says that A is true, R is false, A is false, R is true, like that. They say that both, that is not. We already know that the assertion statement and the reason statement is true. Okay, next is the we'll be having a confusion between the A statement and the B statement. What do you think the correct answer is? So the first A statement says that both A and R are true, and R is not the correct explanation of A. And D statement says that both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Right? So the answer here is the D option. Okay, that is both A and R is true and R is the correct explanation of A, right? An alien piece of DNA, we can multiply them into the equal copy number of plasmid or bacteriophage because why? Because plasmids and bacteriophages can, or they have the ability to replicate within the bacterial cell. So, as a result, the alien piece of DNA which we are interlinking to the plasmid DNA can also replicate. Is it clear? Okay, so this is how we need to understand. So, as I told in the beginning when I was talking about the question format overview, I said, right, um, when you answer assertion and reason questions, you need to have some concept clarity. You need to actually link these two statements. Okay, in that way only we can say that whether it is a correct explanation of the other statement, whether one statement is the correct explanation of the another statement. So you can expect a lot of questions of this kind. This is just a sample one for assertion and reason. Okay. The next question is a match the following question. Okay. So here we have list 1 and list 2. This question is from, again, it's from biotechnology topic. Okay, it's from biotechnology topic, which we are dealing in class 12. Okay, so let's see, let's read. Okay, we need to go on to each of the list. So in the list 1, we have microinjection. B, we have biolistics. C, electroporation. D, direct DNA injection. And list 2, it is electrical impulses induce transient force in the plasma through which the DNA molecules enter the cells. The second one is rDNA is directly injected into the nucleus by nucleus of animal cell by using micro needles or micropipettes. Then the third one is DNA vaccine or immunization by introducing DNA into the skeletal muscles. Then we have DNA coated micropellets are shot into the target host plants. Okay, so this is actually some of the techniques of introducing our recombinant DNA or the rDNA that we'll be dealing, okay, in the biotechnology chapter. into the host cell. So the ways by which we can introduce our DNA into the host cell. Okay, through these methods we can do that. And they are giving the direct explanation of that. So you have to scan through the list 1 and list 2, and you have to, what you should do, you should identify, or you should see whether you are able to make any connections between the terms and its definition. So these are the direct definitions. Okay, so micro injection. I know that when you see all these statements in list 2, micro injection matches with what? Our DNA is directly injected into the nucleus of the animal cell by using micro needles or micro pipette. Okay, so I know this answer. So I'll just mark the option number on the side of this 2, A2. Okay, so as the term, if I'm giving you a short idea about what it is, microinjection means what? The rDNA is directly injected into the nucleus. Injection. Okay, into the nucleus of the animal cell. And the equipments that we use are micro needles or micropipettes. Because DNA is already, we are handling micromolecules. Okay, so we'll be using micro needles or micropipettes for the same procedure. So this is A2. Next is biolistics. Biolistics, or we also had studied another name of biolistics is gene gun. The term is there in your text. It's simply we'll be having some uh, microparticles. We'll be coating DNA around that microparticle or the micropellet, and they will be shot into the host plant cell. Okay, so the fourth option, or the statement in list 2, which is the fourth one, goes very well with that. So this is it. Biolistics, it is fourth one. Just mark it in the, or this adjacent to the term. Okay. Then you have electroporation. Electroporation means the electrical impulses induce transient force in plasma lemma through which DNA molecules enter the cell. Again, another way to transfer rDNA into the host cell, where you will be giving electrical impulses, and with the help of the electrical impulses, you will be inducing some transient force through the plasma lemma through which the DNA molecules enter. So this is the one. Okay. Then direct DNA injection. If you don't know, also you can answer because we have only one option left. That is the DNA vaccine or immunization by introducing DNA into the skeletal muscle. D is third one. Understood? So now we have got a pattern here, right? A3, B4, C1, and D3. Okay, this is the pattern that we have got. This is the options. Okay, just see whether we are getting this pattern in our options or not. That is A3, B4, C1. A3, B4, C1. Yes, it's there. Then it's D3. Sorry, it's A3, B4, C1, and D. Okay, I think I have made some mistake here. Sorry, it's A2. Okay, sorry. When I when I wrote it, it got, there was a mistake over here. Sorry, it's A2. Okay, so it's A2, B4, C1, and D3. This is the kind of mistakes that you can make, okay, while you are attempting the question paper. So A2, B4, C1. Let's see whether we have that pattern over here. A2, B4 is there, C1 is there, and finally D3 is there. Yeah, so this is the option. C is the correct answer. I hope it's clear. Yes. Okay. So this is how you do the match the following questions. Just mark the list 2 numbers beside the term in the list 1 and try to make a pattern. Okay. we'll go on to the next question. Okay, so this is a diagram based question that we are dealing. So this is a diagram of the E. coli vector PBR322. And let's see what the question is. Okay, the question seems to be a little bit complicated where they're asking the different functions of the segments that we are seeing in this PBR322 vector. And we are asked to find the correct answer. So before we go on to the question, let's quickly understand what this is. So PBR322 is actually a designed, okay, E. coli vector. Okay, the name of the vector is PBR322. As I told you earlier, vector is something that we use to um, transfer the foreign DNA or the desired DNA into the host cell. And vector has a lot of properties. Okay, so one of the property we already learned, it should have an ORI, that is origin of replication site in it needs. Okay, then the second one is, so we already know what the function of ORI is. Because they have ORI only, they can undergo independent replication, or we call the so-called autonomous replication, where it don't need any help from um, the the chromosomal DNA. They just replicate by their own. Okay, then the second thing is they need restriction sites. Okay, so this is also another important thing in the biotechnology chapter. So restriction site is that particular site at which the restriction endonuclease enzymes act. Okay, so at the restriction site we have the action of restriction endonuclease enzyme, right? Yes. Then at this restriction site, the restriction endonuclease enzymes act, they make a cut. So you need to understand what the function of restriction endonuclease is. Restriction endonuclease, what do? They are called molecular scissors. That is, they go at specific restriction sites on the DNA, make cut, and they have we have different types of restriction endonuclease enzymes. So they can make different types of cuts. Okay, while you make cuts, you have different ends coming out. So it can be either a sticky end or blunt end. Okay, and that we have different restriction enzymes make different kinds of ends. Okay, so if you are talking about one of the restriction enzyme, I'm just randomly giving you an example of one of the restriction endonuclease enzyme, common one. It's EcoR1. Okay, so EcoR1 means what? It's again an example of restriction endonuclease enzyme. It's isolated from E. coli bacteria. Okay, R strain. We have different strains of bacteria. So from E. coli bacteria, from the R strain, first discovery. Okay, that's why the number is given. And you have got this restriction endonuclease from the E. coli bacteria. Okay, and the naming, how the naming is done, the first letter is the genus name, Escherichia. Okay, and co is the coli. Okay, coli name. Then R is the R string. So this eco R1, they act on the DNA. They have specific restriction sites, and they produce what? They produce sticky ends. Sticky ends. Okay, we have another restriction enzyme, BAMH1. Okay, BAMH1. Okay, they also produce what? They produce blunt ends. Okay, I'm just randomly giving some examples just to have an idea. That's all. Okay, so we were dealing with the characters of a vector. Okay, so it needs a restriction site. What else it needs? Okay, selectable marker. it needs a selectable marker. So selectable marker means selectable marker can be anything. Okay, anything in the sense the two main selectable markers that we are studying is one is the antibiotic resistance gene, one of the main important things. Here in, when you consider PBR322 vector, E. coli vector, here the selectable antibiotic resistance gene act as selectable markers. Specifically, two antibiotic resistance gene act as selectable marker. One is ampicillin resistance gene and tetracycline resistance gene. So this gene or these resistance gene, we have these resistance gene over there to identify whether our desired DNA has been incorporated into the vector or not. So all these are molecular techniques that we are doing in lab. Okay, there are chances that it may go wrong or it may happen. We cannot say, we cannot make it clear, right? So we need to have some proof, or we need to make sure that our desired gene has entered the vector or not. For that, we have selectable markers which select the transformed and the non-transformed cells. So in this case, we have two genes in the vector PBR322, ampicillin resistance and tetracycline resistance. So I hope you have got an idea about the what a vector is and what are the important characters of a vector. So when we study in detail, we will be going into each of these characters. In detail, we will be going. Okay, because we have a lot of questions coming from that area. And one of the questions is this, what we are saying. Okay, so here we have a PBR322 vector. Let me just go through each one of it. So here you have hint 3, CLA1 sites they have marked, right? We have EcoR1 site, PVU1, PST1, BAMH1, SAL1, PVU2. All these are restriction sites for the given restriction enzymes. What I mean is, all these are restriction enzymes, restriction endonuclease enzymes. Okay, and the restriction endonuclease enzymes has restriction sites at these specific regions of the PBR322 vector. Okay, so see here EcoR1 site we have, CLA1 site we have, HIND3 site we have. Okay, in this area we have BAMH1, SAL1. Now this blue shaded region is the ampicillin resistance area, and this is the tetracycline resistance region. That is, you have that specific antibiotic resistance gene in that particular area. Then we have the ORI. Okay, ORI is the origin of replication site, from where the replication starts. Then you have the ROP. ROP is actually a gene which encodes proteins needed for the replication of the plasmid or the vector. Okay, so this is an overall idea, and I hope you understood what all each one is. So A statement says that ROP. Okay, so ROP is this one. Okay, ROP, right? We have the ROP here. So ROP codes for proteins involved in the replication of plasmid. It's correct. It's very well correct. Let me mark that. So the statement is correct. Yes. Okay. Then the second statement they are asking is ORI, origin of recognition site. Okay. Is it origin of recognition site? No. ORI is origin of replication site. So B is wrong. Okay. AMP, we have an exponential superscript R and tet superscript R, which is nothing but they are representing what the ampicillin resistance and tetracycline resistance genes, antibiotic resistance genes. Yes, we already discussed they are the resistance genes, ampicillin and tetracycline resistance genes. Okay, sorry. Yes. Then we have CLA1 And SAL1, they are calling them as selectable markers. So before that, let me mark C as correct statement. Okay, yes, C is the correct statement. Then CLAV1 and SAL2, they are selectable markers. They're saying they are selectable markers. So selectable markers, are they selectable markers? No, they are restriction sites. Okay, they are restriction sites. So this statement is wrong. So I'm just simply for your understanding, I'm just correcting it. So this is actually origin of replication, and these are restriction sites, restriction sites. Okay, so here we are asked to choose the correct answers, and from this we know that A and C are the correct answers or the correct option. So, which is the option here? A and C are correct. We have that option over here. Okay. There is another easy method that you can do without wasting any time. Okay. That is, if we already, after reading the A statement, we found that B statement is wrong. So we very well know that B statement will never come in the option. So you can actually ignore all the options which has the B statement, right? So here the statement doesn't have B. I mean, this statement has B, so we need to ignore this. This statement has B, we need to ignore this. This statement is also having B, we need to ignore this. In that way, also, if you don't know this option C, we can come to the answer as A and C. See how easily we can find the answer with that logic also, right? So here I have put only just three questions from the three different patterns, and I have just discussed how to answer or how to go about with the question. The first and the main thing is you have to read the question carefully. You need to understand what they are trying to say, what they are trying to ask, what the options are, and you have to select the options carefully. Okay, so this is it. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. So I'll just quickly go through what all we said in this session one more time. So we were talking about the NEET exam, okay, which is one of an important entrance test to get admission into prestigious institutes of medical colleges or medical institutes, okay. And in this session, we were specifically going through the biology part of the NEET exam. So first, we gave an introduction about the NEET exam as a whole, who conducts it, how many questions it has, from where all you can expect questions, so and so forth. Then what the level is, the duration, it's conducted once in a year. So you actually have a 1 year time for preparation. But if you're going consistent with your studies, even that can help. That is during your class 11 and class 12 time. Okay. Then we talked about the mark distribution. Okay. The total is 720 marks. You have to be careful about negative marks. So what you should make sure is never go for any guessworks. Okay, guessworks will not help you. It will reduce the marks that you have already attained, and that's very sad thing, right? So it's better don't go for any guessworks. If you're confident, please do answer, right? Then we talked about the question distribution from each subject, how many questions are expected. And biology is the main core subject of NEET. You have almost 90 questions coming from biology alone. Then NEET biology, when you look into the question distribution, you have total 90 questions from both botany and zoology. No categorization, random questions. Okay, they are putting random questions from zoology and botany. You cannot say like 45 coming from botany, 45 coming from zoology. No, any number of questions can come from zoology. Okay, I mean, sorry, from both. From both you can expect. It's just random. There is no fixed number of questions. Okay, separately from botany or zoology. Okay, then we told about the mark distribution, the syllabus. Okay, I gave you a detailed view about the syllabus, the chapters in that. Then, according to the previous year analysis, the high priority areas that you need to concentrate. Then we told about the question format overview. Okay, different types of questions, fact based, assertion reasoning, statement based, match the following, diagram based, and how you need to go about with that. Then we told about some tips and tricks that you can keep in mind and apply while you are preparing as well as attempting the question paper. So scan the question paper quickly comes when you attempt, when you start the exam. Okay. Then mock test is something which is part of your preparation. Then time management, then identifying the simple questions and answering it. First, that is just marking it and then saving your time in that way. Then we had a quick question discussion. We just picked out three questions and then we discussed. Okay. So I hope my session was useful and everything is clear. If you have any doubts, we have some more times. Please don't hesitate to put in the chat. I can read and I can clear your doubts. Okay? Yes, please. If that's it, we'll wind our session. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening. Okay, bye then.